Alright, it's time for another PC build, guys. Let's get into it. Alright, so here's the case we're going with. And by case, I mean not a case. We got some work to do here. The musical and guitar enthusiasts might be a little bit angry with me for ripping this apart, but at least know it was in quite a bit of rough shape. I got it this way, really worn out. Obviously had no strings on it. I've already started ripping it apart, so don't cringe, don't get upset. But yeah, it was in some bad rough shape. If I look over the back here, there's kind of some cracks here in this part of the body. We need to get that fixed up as well, get it glued up and all sturdy so that it's structurally sound. So getting that done, just working on the basics here. So here's what we're working with. Got that opened up. Gonna have plenty of room in here. If you saw my last PC build case, the small ITX build, that was a lot of fun, but decided for this time I wanted to have a little bit more space to work with, something a lot more unique. And this is one of the larger guitar bodies you can get. It's called the Dreadnought style or Dreadnought size of guitar. And we're going to be able to fit actually an entire micro ATX board in here, not going ITX. So we should be able to fit the motherboard there, the video card down here, and then we're just going to have to figure out, really the power supply will be the tricky bit, but it shouldn't be too bad. The hardware we're going to be going with, like I said, it will be a micro ATX motherboard, and then we're going to be going with a Ryzen 7 7800X3D, and for the video card, a 7800 XT. Both the motherboard and video card are from ASRock. You can see just going with a dual fan for the video card. I think that's going to make it work the best in terms of fitment and everything fitting together. But yeah, obviously the main thing is getting this guitar turned into a case and that we can start building in. Got a lot of cutting and a lot more work to do with that. So let's get into it. Alright, time for a quick update on the guitar. So the first thing you might notice is the finish has been all taken off, so I've gotten all that cleaned off, gotten it sanded, with a fine grit so that that's ready to be painted. So this is the entire guitar has been all the finish taken off. It's that glossy bit. Let's go ahead and move this top bit off. Obviously you'll notice a lot of holes in here now. So here's where the motherboard will be. So this is the motherboard IO that will be right here, accessible. Coming around to the top, we did fix that big crack that was right here, and of course I'll sand it down. On the top, we're going to have two exhaust fans. So we got the holes cut out for there. There'll be 80 mils on the top just because that's will fit. Going down here, this is where the GPU will sit. So we're going to have the IO for the GPU right there. Going around to the bottom, we're going to have two more fans, exhaust fans. These ones will be, we can fit a little bit bigger down here. So it'll be some 92 mil fans. We'll be putting some grills over over these, both the top and the bottom, and we're gonna have a little like a little foot, I guess you could say, with some grills that I'm having 3D printed. Just coming into the inside, again, this is where the GPU is gonna sit. So we have holes for the GPU to suck in fresh air. The PSU power supply will be over here, so that'll suck in fresh air as well. And then you have this other hole right here. This will be for the power supply, not only the plug and the switch, and then a little bit of an exhaust, I guess, for right there, since the power supply, sucks in and then blows out the back. So that'll be there. Have a little hole here for what will be the power button. Should be a nice little run just really close to right here where the motherboard will sit, and that should go to those headers there. Give you another little view here of the inside. Again, those are those two top fan mounts. Be right there. Oh yeah, you can't see it good. So you have 4 holes here. This will be a little bit of a mount on the back with a stand that I'm putting together. So there'll be a little stand that will bolt on, so that it will the whole guitar will stand up straight on a little bit of an angle. Yeah, so obviously been a lot of cutting and sanding and grinding and drilling. These little cross beams here used to have a little bit of a profile on them, so had to get those all cut to be completely flat. We'll be putting, the motherboard won't be in here directly, but there will be an actual metal back plate on here that will get in, and then the motherboard will be on top of that. But we still need to get these all flat. You'll see there's the crossbar here, cross frame, just came with the guitar, flattened it out. There was another one right here as well that we had to cut out and sand out completely so that GPU could sit right flat with the back or bottom of the guitar. But that's there. You can kind of see a little bit of an outline. You can see how I've planned it out with a little bit of red lines there where things will sit. And you can see that line for the GPU. I'll just give you a little bit of a back view as well. Obviously it's scratched up and everything, but that's by design. So yeah, the back will have the GPU intakes there and the PSU intake there. There's that little power button. And then if we go around to the other side, that's where the power supply will be there. Got a couple holes in there for mounting that. And yeah, just coming along. Just been a lot of cutting and everything with this, sanding everything smooth, getting it nice and flat. We'll have, I need to put quite a few 3D printed parts in here, just to go over those really fast. There will be some mounts in here for some magnets for the top to close up and be secure. So those will be, put a couple around the edge. There's also going to be some 3D printed parts for the motherboard I/O shield. Obviously with this being a curve, doesn't really fit well, so it'll be a little bit of a sleeve here for that. Have some other little brackets to hold the GPU in, and also the PSU in. And then, like I did mention, some grills for the fans that will be here, both on the bottom and the top. So have those 3D printed. So yeah, we're pretty much ready to paint at this point, but yeah, I wanted to show you this before we went ahead with the paint. It's a lot easier to see what's been done. These little pieces of wood here were all around the edge, kind of in the corner area, I guess, to kind of help for stability. Those got in the way for more places than not, so I did have to cut a few of those out. They were all along the top as well, so I had to cut a lot of pieces of wood out and do a lot of sanding and grinding and cutting there. But yeah, it is roughly done here. All the woodwork portion is done. So next step is 3D printing and paint, and then we'll get everything assembled. All right, here we go. We're at the next step. All black, I'll paint it up. I'll lift this up a little so you can see kind of the whole thing here. With the black, it's hard to see the angles with the shadows and whatnot, but that's the inside. And up to the top, see I've taken the hardware off the top there, and we'll put that on afterwards. But yeah, all the paint is done inside and out. And you can see I've also started putting a little bit of the hardware in. So I'll just kind of explain some of this to you. So yeah, I mentioned before we have a plate. This is actually something I was able to just cut out of an existing case and just glue that in. You can see I have the standoffs all ready to go for the motherboard. So we're going to be putting the fans up here. So here's some of the hardware that I'm going to be installing afterwards. So here we have some of the fan grills. These are the ones with the little feet that will go on the bottom so that this guitar can stand up. These are some little brackets that I had that I've just painted. These will be going inside the top here so that the fans can clip in. So we got two of those. A little bit of brackets here for the GPU. So the GPU is going to sit here. So I have one for the end and then one kind of for the middle that will hold that in as well there. And then for the back plate here, or I/O, whatever you want to call it, it's not really the back, it's the side. I built this little plate out of some metal. Obviously the tricky thing with this is all computer parts have straight edges and corners, obviously, but this, it's all round, it's all curved. So I had to kind of build something that was right in between. So this is what will attach to my GPU. Have the ports that I cut out. This is just a piece of metal, and then had to kind of make that a good transition so that there's some curved edges on the sides. So this will sit, well, this will attach to the GPU first, and then allow that to just sit right in here for that to screw in. So between this and then the two other brackets that will go in, that will be for the GPU. This is just one of the fans that I have out here. This will be going into the bottom, and I have those. See if I can get a better view there. Yeah, there you go. So there's the holes that will go in. Another thing that you might notice, it's kind of hard to see, I have 3 magnets mounted in here. So there's one here. Let me get an angle. Yeah, one here and one over here. So 3 total, and identical ones on the top, or the inside of the top. So that will hold the top on. It's also a little bit nice because it's with the magnets, and being kind of some of these stronger ones I got, helps with just the general structure as well, since, you know, the guitars had a lot of structure that we had to cut out, and that's going to be able to hold it a little better. I mean, it's not going to be the greatest, but it is a little flimsy. I mean, I don't know if you can tell that from the video, but yeah, so there's the 3 magnets. Yeah, 3 there, and then that top will go right on. Over here where the power supply is, this is glued in as well as the motherboard tray. This is just a little stand, I guess you could say, or a riser. Ultimately, the power supply would have fit in down on the ground, or down on the bottom, but then that would leave no room for me to plug all the cords into it with the GPU right here. So this is just going to let the GPU sit a little bit higher up, and then so the GPU will sit on top of that. It's still going to be able to pull in fresh air from the back through this hole, but the cables will just come out from this side of the GPU, and will then allow me to route everywhere with the back of the GPU coming out here on this hole. So that's why I had to do that, just to raise that up a little bit so that I had some room to actually run the cables around. The other thing you might notice here is there's just a little bit of metal here, and I'll flip this up so you can see what's going on right there. So on the back, where it was just 3 holes, I have just glued some metal strips right there, and that's so that I can have there's a magnetic dust filter that will just go right there and cover those up and make it a lot easier to clean the dust out as needed, as opposed to gluing a whole filter or grill on the back. It'll just be the metal, then the magnetic will go over that to cover up those intakes for the GPU and the PSU right there. Otherwise, last but not least for sure, is just the I/O shield for the motherboard. You can see that 3D printed part here. Again, it's a little tough with the lighting, but yeah, so this is a 3D part here that I have shaped right up to the edge of the motherboard, the edge of the guitar, and then this is just the regular motherboard I/O shield that just clips into there. So it just gives it a nice transition. This gives a little bit of a better view for this black 3D printed piece right here. And that I/O shield is already clipped in there, which is great. Clips right in, and it's nice and firm. So yeah, we'll be able to have the motherboard sitting right there. There's that I/O shield, a nice flat spot. GPU will go right below there. PSU right over here. And then yeah, just gonna get some clips in. You can see one clip right here. This is just one clip that I have glued in already for the GPU. So even though it's going to screw into the side, I did want to have a little bit more stability in there, so it wasn't going to go anywhere. It's not having all its strength from this edge, but has a little bit more. So I have this, and you can see it's purposely a little bit flexible, so I can drop it in, and then it's just going to clip right in. You can have another one over on this side as well to just hold that more so down, so that it's not going to want to move up and down or anywhere else. Have a little bit more to print in terms of 3D printer. I need to get some grills for the top done still, and those are on the way. Otherwise, these are just the rest of the parts here. So I got the grills, some mounts for the monitor, some more brackets for the, yeah, this is the one for the PSU, and then the GPU. This is the bracket for the back. So if I look at that back again, there we go. You can see those holes there. So these holes will be what that little bracket is for. It's typically for a monitor, but what we're going to do is have the guitar attached to what is typically a monitor stand, so it will let me slide that on and off as needed to make it really easy to move around or whatnot. So yeah, these are just the other parts I still need to get installed, but all the paint is done. We're really close. So my next update will probably be getting everything installed and doing a last test fit. I've done many fits and test fits, trying to get everything to be arranged in just the right way, but we're getting close. Alright, we're pretty much at the final phase now, guys. So we have all the fans in. The case is pretty much done. I mean, it's really just the components that need to go in now. I'll just give you a quick walkthrough. We have our two top fans installed. So there's one here and one here. Have these cords, the cables going down, so they'll be under the motherboard and kind of routed where they need to go. I also have the power supply cable for the processor, and that just run right exactly where I need it to go. So it'll pop up and go there. I was originally planning to have that route that way with an extension, but not very much room over there, so just opted to just go underneath the motherboard. And fortunately this cable goes flat, so it went pretty flat, and that should be great. So again, we have the power cable, power button over here, and the two little retention bars here for the power supply. Two bottom fans, they're in. These ones are just mounted with the simple little rubber guys, so those will go in. Those are in there pretty easily. We also have the grills installed on the bottom, so that's done. So yeah, we're ready to start putting components in. So the order of operations here is really important, as many of you may know. Putting everything in just the right order, getting the cables and cords routed at the right time before you put something in, before you can't get to it anymore. So you have all these cables run. So the first thing we're going to do is get the motherboard in, and then we'll get the GPU in here. You can see hopefully a little bit these little brackets that are here. There's one there and there, the 3D printed ones. So once the GPU is in, there's a bracket that will slide into those, and then they have another retention bracket for the GPU there. So kind of the GPU goes in a little bit on an angle, that side in first, and then it'll slide down, slide into place. So here's the everything else is ready to go in. We got the motherboard, we have the SSD already installed, we have the Wi-Fi card, so that's there, and of course we have the CPU and the heatsink and fan installed, along with the RAM over here, and everything is already cable managed for the fan here. So the tricky part obviously will be with the motherboard, getting the motherboard in and getting these 3 screws in on the top, since the way the spot that lines up is a little bit in front, underneath this part of the guitar. Just to clarify, this motherboard tray or mount, I had to find exactly the right spot that I could put it that made the most sense for not only fitting everything in, but also making a combination with this fan to get the fan as close as possible to where that hole in the top is going to be, and lining that up. So I couldn't get it to line up exactly up and down, so it is going to be a little offset, but at least side to side it should be right in the middle where the fan sits. So that was kind of the best we could do. I was hoping to get it as exactly in the middle as I could, but leaving enough space above for cables and the fans above there, and then of course everything down here, I had to make a little bit of a compromise there. So yeah, I'm gonna get the motherboard in now, and then the GPU, and then we'll go from there. Alright, the motherboard's in next to the GPU. Just gonna show you this back plate that I made so you can see that a little bit better. Obviously, the standard type of case, this is the plate that it came with, wouldn't have worked. This is designed to slot into some special slots and then screw on with this little angle bracket. Clearly that doesn't work, so yeah, this is the plate that I have made out of a piece of metal. It'll cover that full front, and then it's curved around the edges to match the curve of the guitar on the bottom, and then a little bit of a curve here with a couple mounting holes on the sides for me to actually screw that in. And then yeah, it screws right onto the GPU with the openings for the 4 ports there. So yeah, motherboard is in. We have a couple of the fans connected, not the bottom 2. I'm going to get the GPU in first. So I'll get the GPU in, and then the power supply. Like I said, I had to run this CPU power cable already. That fit really good underneath there. There's plenty of room under there. So yeah, I'm going to slot the GPU and then the PSU in, and let's get it all finished up. Alright, and there we have it. So just a quick run through. For the CPU, we have the 7800 X3D. This is the Thermalright, can't remember the exact name of it, the Thermalright cooler. It's a low profile one. You can see it barely fits in the guitar, so it's perfect. We have the riser cable going into the 7800 XT, so 7800 on both the GPU and the CPU. We got the GPU outputs right there, the 2 screws in. You can see the motherboard I/O right there. So again, yeah, we have the bracket holding this in. We have this bracket as well with a little fun guitar I printed out of the 3D printer, and the GPU. For now, I just have a rubber band holding these 2 vertical brackets together. I need to figure out something else, but this works really good. Each of these brackets have a little piece over the top that just holds the GPU steady, and this just really holds them together. So I'll figure out something out for that, but that just holds it tight, which works perfect. And then of course the GPU is screwed in to the side as well. The power cables is obviously the toughest part to route, but I don't think it looks too bad. Give kind of a wider view here. So yeah, we have the motherboard cables there. It helps that they're black, so they blend in a little bit better. And then the GPU cables kind of just come over here and then right in, so they don't have very far to go at all. So let's see, it is better when I turn this way. That's essentially everything there. And you can see that the way the PSU sits just above the GPU so that we can get those cables out. Otherwise, if we didn't have that little riser, that would not work out so good. And then the fans sit in a pretty good spot, so you can see the bottom there with the grills. Those will be exhausting out the bottom, and then we have the ones on the top that will be exhausting out the top. I still have yet to put these extra little grills on the top. This is one of them. It's gonna go on this side. I'm still waiting for the other one to print out, which will go on the other side. But that's a little bit more of a cosmetic thing and not really needed. So alright, we're all finished. I have it mounted to the stand. I'm just going to try to give you a little bit of a 360 view here. I had to go vertical for this video so that you can get the whole view in there. So I'll just spin it around. Haven't decided if I want to put the hardware on the top yet, but you can see the fan there on the top for the CPUs are there. Coming around to this side, we have the power supply here. That's screwed in, and you can kind of see, get a side view of that monitor mount that I've used. And we're here on the back, so you can see the more of that stand. We have the power button here. It's a little hard to see that vent in the back. You can see the power supply there, and then next to it are the 2 fans inside for the graphics card. And then yeah, that's just mounted like as if it was a monitor there. You can kind of see as well, there's little feet that we made. On the one on this side as well. So it's mostly attached at the top, but it sits on those little feet that are attached, kind of the same piece as the bottom fan mounts. So coming around to this side, we have the GPU in and out, and then the rest of the motherboard I/O there. So that's just a little different view there. Hopefully you can see that. Again, it's as soon as I painted it black, it was really hard to get everything to show up on camera. But there we go. So that's the 360 view. And yeah, I got a decent glossy black paint, and I think it turned out great. And yeah, once you look straight at if you look straight on, you'll see that that fan ends up right in the middle of that that front hole, the stock hole of the guitar there. There you go. Finished up. Really love it. Played some games on it the other day, and it was working great. And temperatures are staying low. I'll post some of those info if I can see it for the temperatures I was getting. Well, thanks for watching.